Hey everyone, I welcome you all to this new module. So, in this module, we are going to start with a new topic, and the topic name is dynamic programming. So, let's get started. Now, dynamic programming is also commonly known as DP. Many of you must have heard of it. It's, I believe, a topic which is made or perceived a lot difficult. But again, if we try to understand this from scratch, it is not that difficult. It can be done pretty nicely without having to face much issues if you are given any question. This is one of the favorite topic of companies such as Amazon, Google, and all these tier 1 companies. They will surely going to ask you one or two questions from TP. One more thing to note here is that it's not a data structure. It's just a way or an optimized way through which we can solve a problem, just like recursion was. Okay, so we have studied the data structure which would be needed in your journey more than them honestly. So DP will now help us to solve problems on those data structures in an effective or an optimized way. So now let us see what exactly DP is. The way I remember DP is with this line, the line in yellow, that those who don't remember the past are condemned to repeat it. So all this line says is that if we are not remembering our past, then we are surely going to repeat the same thing. Okay. So let us now understand about this, and going forward, I will try to make sure that each and everything I'm able to explain you visually as well as using lots of examples. Now, dynamic programming is an optimization technique used to solve problem by breaking them into smaller subproblems, solving each subproblem once. This once is very important here. Solving each subproblem once, and we also make sure that we are storing their solution. Okay, so that is also one more basic idea that once you have solved that particular problem, the sub problem, we have to make sure that we are also storing their solution, right? So that we don't forget that. So that's the basic idea behind our dynamic programming overall workflow. So let us understand this by a real life example. Let's say if we are defining or if we are making an itinerary of our trip, right? So let's say we have a trip which is coming and we are making a itinerary that okay, where we have to go, where all we have to basically visit at a particular place. Now let's say I have a map like this, and there are few places here, right? Let's say this is place 1, this is place 2, place 3, place 4, and say some place 5. Now this can be very well be made by a graph. Now you are also aware of graphs, right? So let's say if you know the distance between this point A to point B is 5. Okay, this is also having some distance. Let us just connect these nodes and try to understand how can DP be applied here, or what exactly is the main idea behind DP. Now let's say you thought that okay, you have to visit from B to this C node. Okay, so from B you have to also visit to C node, and you just read it somewhere that hey, it is some 10 kilometers in distance, right? So it is some 10 kilometers. Now, tomorrow, so you're not writing it anywhere. You're not writing these distances anywhere. Let me remove this one as well. Now, tomorrow, let's say you have a path which is something like this. So you have to start from D and go with the path D, then C, and then B. Here, you are going to now calculate DC plus CB. You will go to map, okay, or you will go to some website. You will find their distances, and let's say you get the answer as 15. Tomorrow, again, what you have to do, let's say you have to go from A to C. So the path which you're going to take is going to be AB plus BC. Again, here you will go on internet, let's say, and you will find the distance something, let's say 18. Okay. Now you will understand or see one thing that here, this CB and BC, this is the same path, right? Now it will come in lots of these places. If you're traveling to this new city when you're making your itinerary, this particular path might come a number of times. What DP suggests you to do is that once you are calculating this path, okay, please store it somewhere as well. So what I can do is I can say that hey, I know this is 10, this is 8, and this is 5. So I'm making this on my map as well. So instead of every time going to some resource like internet or asking someone, I now, once I have calculated, I can very easily say that, hey, now I know the distance. I have just written it down. So instead of calculating this distance again and again, for a distance which you have calculated, it's important to remember it so that if you remember the past, you will not be repeating it. Okay. So now if I have to just calculate the distance or the path from this A to D, which will consist of AB plus BC plus CD, I don't have to go anywhere. I know that, okay, in my map in green color, I have written down each and every value or distance of this path, and thus I can directly write the answer, which is going to be 23. In the earlier approach, which I was taking, I have to go to some resource or ask someone that, hey, what is again the distance between A and B, then B and C, then C and D, right? So that is the major understanding or idea behind DP, that, hey, let us not repeat what we have already done. The same will be a lot more discussed in the upcoming videos so that the basic idea is clear. Throughout this whole module, I will not be focusing on the terminologies. So you in DP you hear lots of terminologies, right? There is memoization, top down, bottom up. All these are something which you will hear. But my aim will be first I explain you these things, and instead of directly starting with any table or anything, let us first try to understand that how exactly are we trying to make, or how are we able to make a difference in our DP code as compared to any other code which we used to write. Okay, great. So I hope this example you get a little bit of idea. The same is going to get enhanced once we move forward. Now let us talk about some prerequisites which we want to have once we start with DP. The first and very important one is the recursion. Now, if you don't know recursion, or if you have not seen videos of recursion the way I have taught it, okay, I think we have more than 3. I think there are total 4 modules in which I have covered recursion properly in depth. Please make sure that you go and see that, because if you don't know recursion, you cannot do TP. It's that straightforward. Knowing recursion is very, very important. Okay. Recursion is something which is going to help you solve DP questions, and that is the reason I was a lot stressing and I made you do questions with so many different ways in the recursion module. Next one is going to be list. Again, a very basic data structure, list or an array, right? List is something which we will be using majorly to store our results. So again, this becomes a lot important as well. Okay, so to have a proper knowledge of list is very, very important if you want to solve or you want to understand dynamic programming. The next part is going to be 2D list. So two-dimensional list, something which we have also covered. We have lots of question as well in for 2D list. That was majorly to make sure that you are overall comfortable. Okay, whenever you are facing any problem or whenever you are given a list within a list. Great. Fourth, indexing. Now, indexing, the way it should be used with a list, right, is very important again. You should be aware that, okay, which particular position this thing is stored when you were storing that. So indexing is going to be a lot helpful as well. Please make sure that you revise how indexing happens in Python overall so that you have a good idea. Fifth one, just to make sure that you don't forget recursion again, you should be having a good mastery on recursion. We have done recursion in a very in-depth sense, and we have made sure that each and every concept in recursion is clear to us. So it is again very, very important. The way I have discussed and solved in front of you same question by returning a list, by sending a list, by taking a global list, all these things will be a lot helpful when we solve dynamic programming as well. And the reason I did it there was to make sure that you are comfortable once we come to dynamic programming and solve questions there. So these are the major prerequisites. Along with that, of course, till now we have done all the data structures. I'm pretty sure that you must have done linked list, tag, queues, trees, then hash maps and graph. So many data structures we must have done till now. You should be having a good idea about them and solve the question on them as well, because they are going to be a lot helpful if you get a question where you have to apply something like DP in any of those data structures. Okay. So great, everyone. I hope the basic idea, the basic or the overall intuition, okay, that what we are going to do in DP is clear. Again, we will be discussing everything in depth. I will be taking many examples so that everything is a lot clear on how exactly are we going to approach the DP problem. So let's now meet in the next video where we will dive in depth to understand how exactly DP help us to solve a problem in an optimized manner.